improve lives.
What was that?
I'm only guessing improve lives and have a better understanding.
Right. So, what's psychology?
Psychology.
Same thing. You just said it.
Psychology is the way humans react to things and so I don't know, mate.
Okay. You're not as dumb as you look, but you're pretty dumb. Are you from Australia or from London, England?
No, I'm from Australia. Can you talk like a normal person, please?
Can you talk like a normal person, please? Don't you try to police speech me, okay? Don't speech police me. I'll say whatever the fuck I want, and I'll say it however the fuck I want. Don't fucking come in my room and dictate to me the way that I can speak. It's outrageous. It's slanderous. It's scandalous.
Shut the fuck up.
You shut the fuck up. I knew you were going to be a problem with your stupid PTR. Now go fuck off and go back to the hole which you came from, you fucking tosser.
Your mum, fuck psychology and fuck philosophy, dickhead. How about that? Talk about that shit.
I think you think that I'll care about the way that you think that I'll think. It's just not true.
Go talk about psychology and philosophy by yourself, you fucking weirdo cunt. Retard motherfucker. Talk about that shit by yourself.
Okay. Bye boy. Goodbye.
Dumb nigga.
Ooh.
Dumb nigga.
Ooh. Okay. Naratoma, welcome to the Psychology, Philosophy, Wisdom Room.
Hey, thanks for welcoming me. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, you know what? This retard thinks psychology and fucking philosophy is the same thing. Like it's not. You dumb fuck. Fucking dumbass therapist, bro.
I'm listening. Go ahead. Get your talk therapy out. Get it all out for Doc. Go ahead. Let's hear how angry you are. Then we'll get to the root causes of all your problems.
You're a dumbass. You say that philosophy and psychology means the same thing. Like you're a fucking retard.
Okay.
Go on Google, search up the definition. I couldn't even explain the definition with right words, and I had a better explanation than you retard cunt.
Wow.
You're a dumbass, bro.
All right. When are you going to be done? Do we need? Should I put a time? I'll give you another 60 seconds. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. You can go ahead. Explain yourself, retard.
Okay, great. Are you done?
Explain yourself instead of talking shit.
Are you done? I'll give you another 60 seconds.
I'm letting you talk. You're not talking. You just get to respond like a bitch.
Okay. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. I'm going to meditate in 60 seconds of silence. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Yeah, go ahead. Give me 60 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Give me 60 seconds. Dumbass bitch. He's not talking shit because he can't explain himself. Dumbass bitch. Exactly. Stay silent like a bitch. Doesn't know shit. Wants to pretend like he's a therapist and he's some sort of fucking smart professor or something on Clubhouse. But get the fuck out of here. You're a nobody. You're not a teacher. You're a nobody. Alright? Suck a fat one, little silent bitch. Sorry about that. I was counting to 60. I was gonna throw him out. I'm sorry. This is really weird. People on here. I'm sorry you have to face that.
Yeah, I mean, what my point is, I'm trying to get him to like hear himself,
Yeah, exactly.
by going on mute
Yeah.
because I don't know,
Yeah.
we're just our own worst enemy. I've been in his shoes, but
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been angry before, but not like that angry. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been angry, but I think anger, I meant the anger out in different ways. I'll say that.
yeah, I mean, you have to have a way to process it, but it's also great if you don't have to process it because you don't get the anger
Yeah,
response as much anymore.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah, and I've been thinking about this whole thing about psychology, philosophy, and wisdom. And I think what I'm coming to the conclusion is like it's all connected in the sense like the whole body connection. Because when a person works out, they strengthen their mind and their brain. Um, at the same time, if you strengthen your mind and your brain, you will want to work out. You know what I mean? Like physically move and make things happen. So it's all connected. Like um, there's this idea in like the yoga philosophy that if you work out your body, you will calm your mind, and if you work out your mind, you'll calm your body. And it's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like one feeds the other, you know?
Well, think about it in totality. Try to step outside of your body and look at it as one system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. From a third person point of view, like sometimes I don't know if you do this, but sometimes I imagine myself as like a bird watching me from above. You know, like this is who I am. This is how I look to the world, etc.
Yeah. So wait, let me look at your profile.
Sure.
Poetry is your forte. You got the Veda base. You got the Prabhupada. Do you live in India?
No, I'm in the U.S. I'm in Michigan.
Oh, I feel bad for you.
Hmm. What do you say that?
I mean, I'm just kidding, but like,
Oh.
I mean, I was kind of joking in the sense that you guys have so many, Muslims.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm glad I'm your friend.
I ain't got nothing against a good Muslim. I just don't like bad Muslims.
Yeah. And I've come to the conclusion that, because the identity of them is a Muslim, it's like they're either a bad Muslim or they're somehow connected to the system that feeds the bad Muslims. You know what I mean? So
The
unless,
good
unless, unless they realize it, yeah.
The irony is, to a bad Muslim, they're the good Muslim because they stand against the apartheid, racist, colonial settler system.
Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? Yeah. And
But
not only that, but I'm from India, and for them, they're standing against polytheism, and it's such a weird thing. Yeah. So
well,
when they pray 5 times a day, they're actually praying for the death of everybody who believes in a different deity or God. It's weird.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they really understand how diverse and rich Hinduism is, and how ancient it is, and how
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
essentially the psychology is invaluable. And I think that they're actually really political. I think Islam, at the root of it,
yeah.
is extraordinarily political.
And their whole concept of theology is always comparative theology. It's never to like speak on their own accord, but it's always to speak on, comparison. What do you guys believe? Oh, we believe this. It's like it's not about standing on their own. It's always about we want to know what you believe, and we believe something else, and therefore we're better. It's always like even in the way they speak, you can tell that's the way they come off.
But I will say I think there's a gift in that. It's, when I listen to an African speaker from Nigeria go on and on and on about how America is the devil, there's a gift in that. You know what the gift is? It's your personal opinion, because I see it as like an input output system. And if you're aware and you can detect your emotional agitation by listening to somebody, that's the gift where you go, aha, these words are working math like an equation in my mind, yielding an emotional response. And it's not, I'm no longer happy. I'm no longer joyful listening to this person. So it's kind of like there's an autonomic nervous system response that you can override through, I guess, mindfulness awareness.
Can you explain that a bit further? So what you're trying to say is, if we, like, let's say we are not Muslim, and we are listening to somebody who is, from our example of Muslim and always comparative theology and trying to project themselves as a victim or always better, etc. So so you're saying there's a gift in that, in the way they talk?
Not a gift in what they're saying, a gift in being aware of your response.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. They've taken the stance and they're holding strong in it. Yeah, there is a gift in that. I agree. But it's also an opinion. You know what I mean? So if they are claiming to be quote unquote true to God, then where's this whole opinionated thing coming in from all the time? You know what I mean? And I don't want to get too much into it, but like.
Well, I think it's political. I think, polity by another name, where they're actually not bad people. Like, if it was a Friday, Saturday night and we were in a restaurant, we could probably, manage to enjoy ourselves, and they could take their political hypnosis to a bare minimum and leave the political out of the social. So I think it's just, like, the violence is inherent, is there.
Yeah.
The violence is underlying, but, that's the thing, is they're not practicing peace.
Hey, Bagel.
Hey, Bagel.
What's up, Bagel?
Okay, so listen, the purpose of this room is a psychology, philosophy, wisdom study. I have a great book. I pulled it because Naroda here says he's a Hindu or an Indian. I guess you are, right? Okay, so there's many holy men in Hinduism. Basically thousands upon thousands of prophets and holy men in India. It never ends, and there's a gazillion gurus, and they have a gazillion books, and they're honestly the most far out psychological people. They've really figured out the brain. It's almost like Hindus and Japanese and Chinese have reverse engineered the brain through their philosophy and psychology to get them to a state of wisdom. And obviously, if you're an educated person and you meet somebody who is not educated, you really can see how education and intellectual capabilities translate almost directly to emotional intelligence or emotional stability capabilities.
Yes, I actually agree with that. I agree with that statement. And it's not just any education. I think it's important to be specific, but also important to be broad and aware. But yeah, I agree with that statement, what you're saying.
So I'm going to read to you from a rare book that I bought. It was like a couple $100. It's called Sri Sankara's Viveka Kudamani. And I'm going to do Sanskrit chanting. And yes, it's not going to be accurate. But as a non-Sanskrit speaker, the whole purpose is to get me out of the English language industrial complex and to get me to make new sounds outside of the English sound library.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm ingesting cannabis and smoking coffee. Okay, I got it queued up. We're going to go to page 139. This is the 120th chapter. Through rajas and tamas exist, though rajas and tamas exist, the qualities of sattva, not overpowered by them, are stated. Misrasya sattvasya bhavanti dharmas vamanitadya niyama yamadya saradhaka bhaktiska mumuksuta ka daivi ka sampatirasani verti. The features of mixed sattva are the complete absence of pride, the presence of yama and niyama, of faith, devotion, longing for liberation, of divine tendencies, and withdrawal from whatever is not real. Misrasya, means of sattva, which is completely free from tamas but has a tinge of rajas. If they overpower, the qualities that are to be spoken of about sattva will not arise. Tu, in dharmastu, is intended to distinguish sattva from the other two qualities and of its being unaffected by them. In the Gita, the qualities beginning with amanita, etc. are as follows. I won't read the whole thing, but it goes amanitvam adambitvam ahimsa santirararjavam. Then it goes about 10 more lines. This is the translation. Humility, modesty, non-injury, patience, uprightness, service to the teacher, purity, steadfastness, self-control, absence of attachment for objects of the senses and absence of egoism, perception of evil in birth, death and old age, in sickness and pain, unattachment, absence of affection for son, wife, home, and the like, constant equanimity on the attainment of what is desirable or undesirable, unflinching devotion to me in yoga, of non-separation, resort to solitary places, distaste for the society of men, constancy in knowledge of the Atman, and perception of the meaning of the ultimate truth. His Holiness proceeds to explain these virtues extolled in the Gita. Amanitvam, humility. Manitvam is the sense of self-glorification by one's existing or non-existing qualities. Manitvam is being devoid of this. Adamba, proclaiming one's qualities for acquiring fame or profit, is damba. Absence of it is adamba. Ahimsa, avoiding harm to others by mind, act, and speech. Santi, absence of change of attitude towards others though disgraced by them. Arjavam, identity of thought, speech, and act. Akaryopasanam, following the teacher by obeisance, by inquiry and service. Bahiranta sukhitavam, washing away external bodily impurities by mud and water, and the internal mental impurities like attachment by the inclinations of friendship and by the practice of seeing the sense objects as evils. Staryam, endeavoring again and again in the faces of obstacles to the practices of means to liberation without giving up the attempt. Atma vinigraha, controlling the nature of the body and the senses which are hindrances to the attainment of liberation and converting them into a condition of favorable thereof. Therefore, Vairagyam, absence of desire for the objects of senses like sound and touch and for pleasures here and hereafter. Anahamkara, absence of pride of the form I alone am superior to all. Janmam rityujara, janma, life in the womb, and coming off the uterus. Mrityu, severance of all the ties of nerves, muscles, and other internal organs. Jara, decline of powers of mind, body, and spirit, and consequent disrespect and insult by everybody. Vadyahaya, fever. Dukkani, mental sufferings caused by the association of the undesired and disassociation from the desired, like the adhyatmika. Dosa, wind, bile, and phlegm, the three humors of the body. Excreta, urine and bad smell, seeing these again and again, thinking of them repeatedly. Tesam anudarsanam, puna alokanam, reflecting on them again and again. Asakti, giving up of attachments to sons, etc., identifying oneself with them as perceived in the feeling that one is sad or happy when they are sad or happy. So again, I mean, this is just incredible information for wisdom and for psychology and for philosophy. And so it's like, wow. I mean, I don't think a lot of Westerners, study Hinduism enough, but they need to, because I like to say that India could technically save the world. Like they are the Superman superheroes of the world.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, totally. I want to say I agree because of the fact that I follow Srila Prabhupada. So I'm part of the Hare Krishna movement, and he wants to empower everyone in the Vedic texts and basically help bring about this revolution of consciousness in everybody, just like you're talking about. And I think it's exemplified in the French Revolution because you had a lot of great French thinkers that for example, the French Revolution and like a lot of revolutionary ideas in the French Revolution came about partially because of the influence of the great thinkers in France at the time that were reading Vedic texts. They got their hands on it, like, wow, this philosophy is profound, and they were able to, and then that sparked, actually ignited the French Revolution that happened. I don't know much about the French Revolution other than I know that it sparked about a huge rethinking of how we view the world.
Do you know who Charles Baudelaire is?
I don't know.
He was a French revolutionary philosopher and writer, but I've got a lot of his works, and do you know what a dandy is?
Dandy? No. I mean, it's like a stick, but I mean, it also has implications for a person who's taken sannyas. So somebody who's renounced life in order to spread the mission of God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. They usually take a danda, which is basically a stick, to represent that they are a representative of the authority.
Right.
Yeah. So Dandi, there's actually a Maharaj called Dandi Maharaj, which I'm going to talk to probably on Sunday. But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to it. Who's the author that you read this from?
Charles Baudelaire.
Okay, and he translated it from where?
I think you might be confusing. I would just look up his Wikipedia.
Okay.
And I would get some of his poems and prose, but it's very good poetry. Do you like Rumi?
I like Rumi, yeah.
Yeah, Rumi's good. Have you read Omar Khayyam?
No, I haven't.
Basically, I mean, do you drink wine?
I don't, and not anymore. I used to be a drinker, yeah.
Well, I mean, basically saying that there's a connection between poetry and wine.
There is, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
The serotonin?
I would say moderation in everything. Like, you know how people say you can microdose drugs? You can take a bottle of water and just put a little bit of red wine in there and read a book on poetry, and you'd be amazed at how much more functioning your brain is with the ethanol molecule in the mind.
Oh, is it the ethanol molecule? I thought it was the serotonin that was produced. Is it the serotonin that's produced?
Well, whatever, cause and effect, or whatever. I mean, what I'm saying is it's a catalyst.
I'm sure, yeah.
But you don't need much. That's the thing. That's why I think the metaphor with Jesus turning water to wine, wine to water, whatever, is like.
Oh, okay.
It's basically they microdosed, the people receiving the transmission.
I see.
Whether that's like LSD or that's just wine. I mean, it's an altered state of consciousness where, like, on day A, you can read book A. On day B, you can read book A with a little bit of wine, and now book A is no longer book A.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's just, Jews do that on Fridays. They make a kiddush, so they take a shot of red wine.
Yeah.
And that...
I'm fasting today.
You're fasting today?
Today is one of the Ekadashi days. Do you know about that?
No.
Okay, so there's like 26 days in the year, Ekadashi. So basically, the month is determined by the moon. It's like so it's about a 4-week month. That's pretty stable size. The length of the month. And the 11th day of the waning and waxing moon is called Ekadashi, and typically we're fasting on that day. At least those that are following strictly. And the reason for that is manifold. One is the physical benefits of it, and I don't want to get into that right now. But the spiritual reason that we fast is because the demonic entities are given residence in the grains on this day, for specifically on this day. There's a reason for it too. I don't know the whole reason. And then, so we fast from grains on this day because, as adherents to Vedic philosophy, we don't want to consume that which is tainted. And then we, just for this day, and then we move forward. So
Let me ask you something. Do you think there is a technical problem in Hare Krishnaism?
what do you mean by technical problem?
Implying that you can't be all or nothing. That's according to cognitive behavioral therapy. It says that all or nothing is one of the cognitive distortion disorders. So, do you think there's cognitive distortion? Do you think there's retards in your movement in your organization?
Well, I will tell you this: that there's a lot of people that are crazy that are in the organization,
Right?
Because it does. You see, when it comes to spirituality, it's sort of like water. It goes to the people that are really needing it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like the water flows down to the crevices, first to really give the mercy out the most, and then it'll rise up. So
it's true. I forget.
There are a lot of.
You don't have to answer the question. It's fine. I mean, I get it.
I mean, there's this whole talk about harmonizing our everyday lives, and then also being practicing Hare Krishna. There's a lot of talk about that. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that, and that's important.
I mean, the way that I can answer that, I just I like the saying that everybody you meet is on a more difficult journey than yourself, and then once you reframe the conversation that way, you realize and once you get back out into the real world and you see how bad people struggle, but yet they're still alive and they're kicking it, and you're like, damn. You're like, I can't. If I were you, I mean, I would either change my life or I would just want to kill myself. And I think a lot of people are suicidal, but nobody can really, do it.
Right? They don't verbally say it. Yeah. I agree. But yeah, that's the whole point about spirituality, is that it gives a person a reason to live and to die. Actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's many different aspects to it, but I think what you're saying about the suicidal ideation, I think is coming from a place of lack, in the sense of we're lacking something in our lives, or we're not happy about something, we're just completely powerless to change anything. But actually, if a person can transform that, and at that time realize, maybe let's say if they're in the Hare Krishna movement, realize that okay, they have some hope to live and function from the Hare Krishna movement, and then over time it'll change, the ideation might go away.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it has much to do with the Hare Krishna movement and the organization as a nonprofit, legal entity. I think what I'm saying is the information that they possess, aka the books. If you actually program yourself on the books, it will be of benefit to you. I saw a guy once begging for money, and he's screaming out, "Change! I need some change! Anybody got any change?"
Yeah, so he's constantly saying change. Yeah.
But what the thing is, he needs not money. He needs change, which is new information. So he can't.
Right.
Nothing in his life can change until he's able to update his programming, and that's essentially he needs books.
Yep, exactly. That's part of it, yeah.
Because
that's one of the reasons we chant Hare Krishna too, is we can talk a lot about many things, but to come to the point of realization that the great, spiritual masters have, is not so cheap. Like, it does take a lot of time and practice. So the books are there to, so we can absorb the knowledge, but also the chanting will help us come to that same level of realization eventually, to where we can, be like, wow, this is actually really true, because I read this like maybe 20 years ago. I really was inspired by it, and now I'm seeing that as hope. Wow, it's actually really true, and I can go actually talk about it with the public and help them realize it. To take up a book and start chanting too, So,
Well, I would say that the chanting is great if you like chanting and making music, but
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
say reading a book out loud is technically a very complicated mantra. So, if I like
Yes.
what I just read to you, basically every book is a mantra book, and every book, if you read it out loud, it is hypnosis programming. So, if you can
Yeah.
hear yourself reading it while you're reading it, I think that it like lays, basically deeper neurons in your ganglia and all that stuff. So, like from a neuroscientific perspective, that's why I say that guy who needs that change, he can't really change his life just through chanting. He technically needs more complicated symbols put into his mind in order to change his personality, because he
Yeah.
can't
Well,
work
here's
he can't
yeah.
work with people because
Exactly.
mentally ill and disagreeable and I
True. True. True.
and
True.
low IQ.
True. 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 I agree with that. What you're saying exactly. Exactly. And then we need to, if he does read the books, then he will come to a point where he'll start to agree on aspects and get the association that he needs to understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated to help the homeless. I've helped homeless people before, and it's
Oh,
it's complicated
it is
because
very complicated
humans are
because they
so
go through
complicated.
absolutely, and then yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
Because once you start giving, then they expect that, and then they're not willing to change.
right. It's kind of like, how do you manipulate somebody without them being aware that they're being manipulated? Because in the sense that you want the best for them, but you also don't want to have your life impinged.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to overextend where you're going to be handicapped by
Yeah,
helping them,
yeah.
but at the same time, you want them to be on their own feet.
Yeah. And the way I did it was I made my donation and then I let it go, and like I accepted
Yeah,
the donation as as a
absolutely.
loss.
That's a good way of looking at it. Actually, it's said in the book, in chapter 12, that if charity is one of the aspects, and then but to be able to give it and then forget about it. That's the main part. It's not to do it to say that I have given X, Y, and Z amount of money to somebody or some cause, and then like brag about it, to other people. It's about to just give it and let it go. Like you did your part,
The funny thing is, the guy that I gave the charity to, like I also hired him an attorney, and that was the biggest mistake I made.
Oh no, what happened?
The attorney, butts his head into a situation and basically made it even worse for the guy that needed the attorney. So, because he upset the people, who they were going to give him what they want. Basically, you're going to get what you're going to get because God is going to give it to you, not because some attorney says you owe him more.
Right, right.
So I'm just saying that attorneys, if they don't bring flowers to the situation, what's the purpose of hiring them?
Totally, I agree. And actually, I think that's a very not even a cliche, but it's like it's there. The attorneys are the ones scamming most of the people. People have that thing, right? Like finding a good lawyer is not easy.
Wow.
Yeah, I went through a difficult time. I couldn't find a lawyer to save my life, despite there being so many lawyers. So yeah, and it's very like when it comes to areas like spirituality, the line is grayed out. So for example, um, I was being taken advantage by a psychic, and I couldn't find an attorney to save my life because the laws in that are gray, so like, you can't be one way or another. There's a lot of stipulations there, and so it was hard for me to find an attorney that would represent me, but I somehow was out of the situation. So, yeah. And I went through mental struggles because I also, I take meds and stuff. So I also am also not agreeable to a certain degree. But I'm trying,
You take psychiatric medications?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oy vey. You do realize that like you are dumbing yourself down by doing that, right?
I realize that, yeah. The thing is, it's hard for me to. I do realize it. Yeah, I do realize it. Okay, I'll tell you this. In 2018, for 6 months, I didn't take it, and I was following the Hare Krishna path properly, chanting for a couple hours a day, trying to eat properly and all. And I was actually very productive at work, extremely productive. And I was doing my work, and I was doing my master's in finance. And I was getting A in my master's finance first semester. Sure, it's the first semester, classes are relatively easier, I get that. But for me to do that, to work like 55 hours a week and then spend like 35 hours on the master's and do my meditation and chanting every day without fail, it was actually really, really amazing. But then the worst happened. I had a nervous breakdown, and for 3 weeks I didn't sleep.
What?
So, yeah. So I think the meds have really messed me up. And I've tried to wean off of it. I've reduced the dosage of the ones that I do take. But at certain times, I need them in order to function.
Well, let me ask you about the nervous breakdown. What was the environmental factors before the nervous breakdown?
So I was living alone in Milwaukee. So I'm from Michigan, so I didn't have any friends. The same environment wasn't there for me in Milwaukee. So it was a different environment. Same environment wasn't there. I was going through a bankruptcy, so some stress. I was doing my master's in finance. I was becoming a lead in the engineering world, lead engineer. And so I was taking on more responsibility. I was just trying to make a life for myself, and I was off the meds. So that's some of the factors. I think the other factor, and so that was the main factor, and then I just, here's the main factor. I had told myself that I'm not going to go to sleep until my work for the day is finished. And that inherently is not a bad thing, but I didn't give myself a break. So my brain was always trying to just stay awake and get things done. And I think I just didn't get enough rest that I should have, if that makes sense.
So you were your own worst enemy?
At that time, because of the seed I had planted at the beginning of the 6 months, that I'm not going to go to sleep until my work is done.
So what's the gift?
My brain was just like, refused to sleep.
I get it. What's the gift? What's the gift behind that experience in your memory now?
The gift behind that experience is the fact that I have control over my mind.
Right.
The only thing is I have to remember that, and I have to be able to switch gears when I need to.
Well, I think, that's a pretty, that's a major malfunction of your mind. That event and what led up to essentially 3 weeks of not sleeping and eating. I mean, if you even go one day, well, let me ask you this. Are you happy now?
Not fully because I'm still on the meds. But here, I'll tell you what. One good thing is I'm almost done with, I have a smoking addiction. And it's been 4 weeks now, almost to the 5th week next week, where I've reduced my consumption from a pack a day to a pack a week.
Whew.
Now, so that's a major change. And so at the moment I'm still taking my meds, but I'm also taking them there's one med that I take in the morning that I take every other day, and the other one that I don't always take at night, but it's, basically I was spreading them out one every other day. And it's working for me so far. So far, I'm, stable. I'm going out for walks right now. I'm out in the park, trying to just, get my body moving. So I need the blood flow.
Do you do yoga?
I I don't. I don't.
Whoa, buddy!
Do that.
Whoa, buddy!
I agree.
Whoa,
Not
buddy!
excuses,
Whoa,
but
buddy!
300 pounds, man. I'm like, I need to.
Listen, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but you are talking to a yoga master on Clubhouse. Oh,
Nice.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm glad I met
So
you.
let me just quickly tell you what to do. So,
Sure.
when you get on the ground, the most important stretch is a hip rotation. That's the most fundamental stretch. So if you lay down on the ground, just take your right knee and then roll it over your left and just do a full hip rotation, and you're going to get all that spinal cracks. You're going to crack. And then you need to lay there in a hip rotation for a good 60 seconds and breathe and take the deepest breath of the day.
Okay.
And when you do that, hold it. It's called a diaphragmatic belly breath. And hold
So
it.
you're on the floor with your knee over the other leg?
Yep. It's just a hip rotation.
Yeah.
It's the most fundamental. Without that one,
Good.
You can't start anywhere else. That one unlocks the whole body.
Good.
That's the
I'll do
first stretch, and that you have to do that every single day, maybe 3 times a day.
that. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. We started talking about Muslims. Why do you think a Muslim prays 3 times a day?
Well, because they have to put their head on the ground.
I know, but what does that do?
It opens up the spinal column.
That's it. So they have mysticism embedded in their biophysical response. So
Right.
if you're blind, you still stand up in the victory sign with your hands raised in victory. And they've never seen that because it's technically in your DNA, in your subconscious mind. So
Yeah.
when you do that hip rotation or you get down on the ground and it's a sacral crack. And why? It's a sacred crack, a sacral crack. So it's going to help your health dramatically. It's essentially prana. It's prana technology, or all the chakras.
Yeah.
Do you know the interesting thing about the chakra system is it's symbolized in your body, but it comes through the breath. So if whoever you are, we may never talk again. I can only say that all my readings is the breathing is technically more important. The breathing is the chanting. So when you do the chanting, you're doing the breathing. The breathing is the secret. It's the prana. It's the life force.
Prana.
It's the vital. It's the vital energy.
Oh, Vital. Oh, no, wait. There's a deity in India actually that's called Vitala. And it's actually, it's an expansion of Krishna.
This
now
is
it makes sense.
This is an interesting thing too about English and Sanskrit or Hindi.
Yeah, there's connection. Yeah.
Well, no, that having multiple language sets actually makes the conversation, more of a mantra, or more of a chant, or more of a breathing. So, if you want to, be happy, you really do have to preach, the gospel, or essentially a philosophy, And the philosophy of joy, the philosophy of happiness. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So just be a spreader of good news. And it's kind of funny, but it's neurolinguistic self-programming.
Yeah.
If you force the dialectic and you get positive results. And that's why people just screaming out, change. You're never going to get change. You're just hypnotizing people with the word change, but your life will never change.
Right, and that's the whole point. A person can say change or water as much as they want, but that does not actually represent water in the spiritual world. It's a way we speak in this world, the material world. So that's one of the reasons we chant Hare Krishna, is that the names of Krishna are not different than Krishna himself, so that we are ourselves being purified because we're coming in contact with that with him, or that which is completely pure. That's the whole concept of chanting, is that by connecting with that which is pure, we ourselves become pure, or realize that we are pure.
Do you know Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I know of her. Yeah.
So I'm going to read you a secret about her. Are you ready?
Sure.
Kamala, or Lakshmi, offer a wide range of choices and experiences. Her role in the world play is to support, maintain, and nourish. Nourishment means a lot more than preserving a specific situation. In nature, things are not stable. Balance is a dynamic process involving change, and this means that things appear, last, disappear, and make space for new development. The play of Lakshmi is adaptation to changing circumstances. May I propose 3 trances to discover the meaning of this lila? So this is a really good book. It's called Kali Kaula, A Manual of Tantric Magic by Jan Fries. It's really advanced psychology. Hinduism is so, it's just unbelievable. Because you're talking about 1.2 billion people over thousands of years who are just information addicts.
Totally. You're right. Yeah, because knowledge is power, well, not just knowledge is power, but chit. Chit is also another word for knowledge, and chit is also another word for the life force. So when you're nourishing the life force with knowledge, you're actually be good. So there's a term for Krishna called Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, but the spirit souls are Sat Chit Ananda. Sat meaning truth, Chit meaning knowledge, and Ananda meaning pure eternal bliss. That's our eternal form. So Chit actually represents the knowledge part of it.
Well, do you know where Lake Chitta is?
Lake Chitta, no.
It's technically your base psychology.
Lake Chitta, okay.
So the image is a reflecting lake, the most beautiful lake in the world, with an incredible pagoda and a beautiful hotel and just the moon and the mountains. And the moon is reflecting in the lake, and the lake is totally still like a mirror. So that black mirror reflecting the sun, is the state of mind that you want to be in. You want to be in that eternal repose of, harmony and equilibrium.
I like that very much. And yeah, you gave me a very important information that vitality is connected with the word vital.
Mm-hmm.
So, in English we say vitality. This is the way English is spoken. And then there's a deity in India called Vital or Vitoba. And it represents vitality, etymologically speaking, it represents vitality. So, yeah, it's really amazing.
Okay, I'm going to give you a gift because I know our time is limited. This is the best thing I can give you. It's called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking, a new and updated version of the best-selling kit. Because I am also a smoking addict. So these are the subjects. I'll tell you the categories. The preface: how can a book help you to quit? The prisoner, the closed mind. What do you really know about smoking? Smokers choose to smoke. The miracle, the little monster, those terrible withdrawal symptoms, eating. The big monster, the empty, insecure feeling, the maze. Why should it be difficult to quit smoking? Smoking is a habit. Why do smokers find it so difficult to quit? How does Easy Way make quitting so easy? Why cutting down cannot work? The myth of the happy casual smoker. What are you trying to achieve? Snuff taking. Reversing the brainwashing. I smoke because I suffer with my nerves. It takes willpower to quit. I have an addictive personality. Does smoking help to reduce weight? All substitutes make it harder to quit. The incredible pleasure of being a non-smoker. Health, the void. The instructions leading up to the final cigarette. The final cigarette. Is there a specific chapter in there that stuck out to you, like you want me to read it to you? But those are the chapters.
Nice.
It seems like a really good book.
It does. Yeah. No, I'm not downing it.
But I will. You gotta stop with the cigarettes. Whoever you are, you have to figure out a way to get away from them because technically that's a pharmaceutical product, and because
Yikes.
it's treated with 300 chemicals. Go to
Yeah.
YouTube and watch how they manufacture what you're actually putting in your lungs, and you'll be amazed at how they make them. It's like, whoa, this is very complicated.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree with you. And so what so
It's like
I
it's a
reduced it.
super processed food.
It is, and I've reduced it considerably. So now I think the next step is just pull the plug now. Like I've given myself this Sunday to be completely done with it. So let me start my 1 days right now. Like I had a couple cigarettes in the morning. I'm done with it now. So for the rest of the day, be without smoking, and I'm gonna focus on the yoga. I'm gonna focus on my vitality, and just strengthening that, being grateful for that and all, and my chanting and my reading. So that's my focus for today. I've got to send a couple emails out.
Listen to this. This is called Why Cutting Down Cannot Work. Terrible things happen when you try to cut down. First, you keep the little nicotine monster in your body alive, but more important, you keep the large monster in your brain craving cigarettes. Secondly, you spend your whole life clock watching, wishing your life away, waiting for your next fix. However, there are two worst things that happen when you try to cut down. When you indulge yourself cigarette after cigarette, at least you are partially relieving your withdrawal symptoms most of the time. When you cut down, in addition to the normal stresses and strains of life, you're actually causing yourself to feel nervous and insecure. But the worst thing that happens is this. When you smoke cigarette after cigarette, you don't suffer the illusion of enjoying any of them. Even the lighting up becomes automatic. If you think about it, the so-called special cigarettes are always the ones after a period of abstinence. The one after a meal, the first in the morning, the one after sex, the one after exercise, and the one after a period of not being allowed to smoke. This is because all you actually enjoy when you light a cigarette is the ending of the aggravation of craving it, not the cigarette itself. Just like a hunger for food, the longer you suffer it, the more precious it becomes when you eventually relieve it. Cutting down doesn't turn smokers against smoking. On the contrary, it convinces them that the most precious thing in the world is the next cigarette. Smokers make the mistake of believing that they smoke because they got into the habit of smoking, and in particular that they got into the habit of smoking too many. We think that if we can restrict ourselves to smoking only 5 or 10 a day, or just smoking those so-called special cigarettes, our brains and bodies will get used to smoking at that level, and we can happily maintain our smoking at that level or cut down further if we want to. If you have tried cutting down, you will know from experience that it just doesn't work. The reason it cannot work is because smoking isn't habit but drug addiction. All smokers have this permanent nicotine itch inside their bodies. The natural tendency with an itch is to scratch it, and because smoking, far from curing the nicotine itch, actually causes it, the natural tendency for all smokers is to scratch it permanently, or in other words, to chain smoke. So why don't all smokers soon become chain smokers? Because of the powerful forces on the other side of the tug of war which are telling us not to smoke. I used to think that my chain smoking was a weakness. I thought, how can my friends limit their smoking to 5 or 10 a day? I know I'm stronger-willed than they are. It never occurred to me that some people are physically incapable of chain smoking. You need strong lungs to chain smoke. In the bad old days when smoking was regarded as a social pastime and 90% of adult males were hooked, the main reason that the other 10% didn't get hooked was because the lungs couldn't cope with the poison, or they hadn't got the willpower to go through the learning process. In those days, we didn't have the benefits of filter tips or low-tar tobaccos, and the learning process was very difficult. Many smokers can't afford to become heavy smokers and have to limit the intake according to their pocket. Others aren't allowed to smoke at work. Nowadays, many smokers discipline themselves not to smoke in the bedroom, in a car, in a new car, in the company of non-smokers, or whatever. Many youngsters will not smoke in the company of their parents, and many parents will not smoke in the presence of their children or grandchildren. Although health is the main reason that smokers give for wanting to quit, the actual reason why so many mature smokers are attempting to quit nowadays is that smokers themselves regard it as antisocial. Even the illusion of the tough male or sophisticated lady has gone. We don't particularly enjoy being smokers when we are young, but because we can cope with the physical side, it doesn't appear to be a problem at that stage. However, because your body becomes immune to the drug, you always want more and more. Eventually, you descend to the level of all drug addicts, where your body can no longer cope with the poisoning. Now you have not just one problem, but two at one and the same time. You're smoking too much, but can never get enough nicotine. Even to hold it at the unacceptable level you are at, you would have to use willpower and discipline for the rest of your life. If you haven't got enough willpower to quit, no way will you have enough willpower to cut down. This is why cutting down cannot work. Cutting down usually follows a failed attempt to quit. Willpower runs out, and when it does, the smokers are exhausted, miserable with self-despising, and consequently end up smoking more than they did before they decided to quit. Cutting down is closely associated with a group of smokers that heavy smokers tend to envy. Now is a good time to dispel another illusion, the myth of the happy casual smoker. The myth of the happy casual smoker. It's not the chain smoker coughing up his lungs that tempts us to experiment with those first cigarettes. We can see so clearly that they get no pleasure whatsoever from smoking, and that it is smoking that is making their lives so miserable. What tempts us are the happy casual smokers. They have no smoker's cough. They look healthy and serene. It's quite obvious they are not addicts. Sometimes they'll take a cigarette out and not even bother to light it for several minutes. They are clearly in complete control. So this is a brief reading from Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. I hope that you get this book and you read it out loud, and you'll train your mind, you'll reprogram yourself, and you'll thank me. And when you become a multimillionaire, you'll send me my first $1 million. Riboy Noi Shaloilim.
Absolutely. Let's see if that happens. Thanks for that. I appreciate it very much.
It's more than that, my friend. Get the book. It's $4, and read the fucking book and change your life. I mean, for $4, I mean, I'll send you the fucking book. You know, I mean, you can't send me your address, but take it. I mean, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can if you want. But yeah, I'm gonna do that today. So I'll definitely do that today. Thanks for that. I just keep to the library, and I'm gonna have to finish my rounds, and I'm gonna.
But read this book, because this book is very specific, and you can see from what I read that this guy went through the entire psychological brain functioning of a smoker. And once you are more aware and have that knowledge, I swear to God, my friend, like, you know, tomorrow could be the happiest day of your life as a cigarette-free smoker.
Absolutely, I agree.
Chinagi has arrived. Before you leave Naroda, you should say hi to Chinagi. Chinagi is basically he's a CCP agent, but he doesn't admit it. It doesn't matter. He's a cool CCP agent. I think he's one of the good guys.
Okay. Hey, Shinagi, how are you doing?
Yo, it's China guy, but yeah, Chinagi is fine as well.
Oh, okay.
I mean, oh man, it's like the political climate in the U.S. is so anti-China that if anyone say anything offensive about China, it's like CCP agent.
No, China guy, I think you're missing my joke. My joke is, I mean, basically, that is, I guess you're saying that's my joke, but I mean, my joke.
I know the joke, but I know the joke. But your joke is based on the fact that, you know, a lot of people that are speaking on behalf of, I mean, like looking at China, objectively, is labeled a CCP agent. I get that it's a joke.
Well,
if you don't think that I'm
let me put it this way: is that Americans are always going to make that statement because, like, that's the joke. I mean, that is the American joke. Is like you can make the same joke about China about anybody, but like you ask the average American, what are China's, you know, founding documents? You know, what is Chinese psychology, philosophy, and wisdom? And they'll say, I have no idea. And if you ask them about Hinduism and India, what are their founding psychological wisdom documents? You know, what's their historical wisdom information from the past 2,000 years? People will have no idea. So, I'm just saying, like, it's a joke. You know, it's fun to make that joke with you because you know you sound the way you sound and what you have to say. You know, and I've heard you at length to many Americans because you're so much smarter than them. They're immediately fight or flight, and either they're just gonna fight you with propaganda, hypnosis, and I mean, I've never heard you say anything that's not true. But I mean, your opinion, I think, for some reason, in the human mind, for your average American, it's disagreeable. I think because they know that they can't beat you in a linguistic debate. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and that's sad. And that's sad. That means like the manufactured consent is like working as intended.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It works.
Yeah, it's good. Because we live in a world with nuclear bombs. Okay, let's not talk about being CCP agents or whatnot. But actually, a lot of people, a lot of Americans accuse me of being that, and they actually mean it. And it's not just Americans, other people as well. I mean, people from other countries as well. And I think they also buy into that American propaganda because we are held hostage by, replay is on, shit, I can use the N-word. Fuck. Hello, what's going on?
Oh my gosh.
So I do get Australians, Thai people, a lot of people doing that. Honestly, I think I sometimes overdo it. I mean, I even name myself China guy, like how pro-China guy.
Yeah, I mean, if like the Matrix was to create, a Chinese American nemesis on Clubhouse, you are that, spirit speaking through this ghost box. It's a joke again. What are you doing today, China guy? Like, what time is it there? I mean, what's your purpose in being in this room? Do you have anything you want to share to the room?
Not anything in particular. It's 10:15, 10:15 in the evening, obviously. And I just had dinner.